Good morning and welcome to recording our podcast, The Family Meeting. We are glad that you're here. We're just about to record it. We're getting everything set up, everything ready to go, and trying to kind of wake up. It's always early morning when we record this thing, and I don't know. I feel like I still have like that sleepy time voice.
I've been up since like 4:30, so I'm good to go.
Yeah.
I'm ready to roll.
You've had your workout and everything. I skipped my workout today because today I'm painting. I don't work out in the days that I paint because it's like too much.
Conserve that energy.
Yeah, it's too much. So
episode 101.
101. That's crazy.
Man, how fun was 100?
It was super fun. Sort of. We're going to talk about that in the podcast.
Yeah.
But this is what I was thinking. I was like, man, with 101, we really should have just entitled this episode Marriage 101 or like Family 101. You know.
Oh, yeah.
Like a class is Marriage 101.
Finances 101.
This is Finances 101. Today.
Marital Finances 101.
So I have like a scratchy throat, and Thomas has informed me I'm not to clear my throat through the whole episode.
Like, don't clear your throat every 2 seconds. Nobody wants to hear that in the microphone.
I know, but I don't know how I can stop it. So let me do that right now. All right. That was just for the YouTubers and you.
We just lost tens of viewers.
Tens of viewers. No! Okay.
Hope you guys are having a great week.
Yeah.
Life's been busy just because of volleyball, girls volleyball. They had a
Sports.
game last night. They won, which is good. First win of the season. And heading to Jacksonville tomorrow for another game. It's like game practice or practice game.
Always.
Monday through Friday.
Yeah, which I never, ever envisioned us being like sports parents. The kids never they weren't ever interested in sports, and that was fine with me. And now that they are, I kind of have been opened up to this new world, and I get it now. I get why.
A whole new world of sports.
Thank you. That was good.
Yeah.
But now I get it because the joy I see in their face when they get to play. Like
they were having fun last night.
They were
for sure.
giddy. Like it was so fun to watch them and cheer them on. So I'm starting to kind of understand you sports parents. I'm starting to get it.
Well, and I try to tell them winning is fun. If you're winning, you'll have fun.
And I try to tell them you choose to have fun. Fun is a choice.
Losing's not fun.
I don't know. Losing's okay if you have fun.
That's like loser quote 101.
I am a loser. I've been a loser my entire life, and I'm a very happy person.
Yeah.
See?
Don't look happy. No, I look happy.
You're a winner. All right. Are you ready to do this? We got to get into this.
Gather round, everybody.
Just go.
It's time for a family meeting. The Family Meeting is a show that's all about family relationships. I'm the Osterkamps. I'm Thomas. This is my wife, Thomas. Lysandra. I don't know what you want me to say there.
Lysandra would be great.
All right. We're the Osterkamps. I'm Thomas. This is my wife, Lysandra. Would be great.
Hello, and welcome to our family. Welcome to episode 101 of the Family Meeting Podcast.
Oh, we're on 101. And I thought it'd be cool to like name this episode like Marital Finances 101. Kind of like a college course thing.
That was my idea. And like always, you have stolen it.
I don't think we have proof that was your idea.
You know what? When you steal my ideas, we do have proof on YouTube. So if you go over to the YouTube, you can see the ridiculous craziness that is us before we actually start recording the podcast.
I forgot about our YouTube viewers.
Oh, what did you forget? Oh. But you know what? I consider it a great compliment when you steal my ideas and claim them as your own.
And it happens once a decade, so...
Yeah, right. If people only knew. It is 101. Wow.
What did you think about episode 100?
All right, we've got to talk about episode 100, you guys, because episode 100 had me... I left a little sad. Like, episode 100 was over, and I had a really good time and stuff, and then towards the end, I was like... Jeez, I'm a horrible mother. My children hate me. Everything is terrible in the world.
No, that isn't true.
Thank you. I had to take Thomas upstairs after episode 100 and be like, I feel terrible right now. I feel like the kids hate me. I was like super down and discouraged after episode 100,
So if you haven't listened to it yet, you need to go back and listen to the game, Mom or Dad.
which was my idea,
Her questions.
my questions. And I thought for sure, like certain ones, I was like, well, I'm going to win this one. And he's going to.
I came out on top. And
He came
for
out
once,
way
you
on
didn't
top.
like being the loser.
Yeah, because not in that game. Well, and then this was funny because
We weren't the only ones that played it.
we weren't. We had some awesome listeners who are also our good friends. They listened to it and they played Mom or Dad at supper.
Yeah.
And
Turns out it didn't go so well for her either.
Mom, this poor mom didn't even get prettier than Dad.
That was funny.
That is funny, but it's not true. It's
was
not true at all.
cracking
Those kids were being stinkers, I'm telling you, because this mom is beautiful. And she left feeling super discouraged too. And so we were talking about it. I was like, yeah,
Commiserating.
don't ever play Mom or Dad. It's going to ruin your life.
So
Don't
we
do
want
it.
you to go back and play Mom or Dad
I just told them not to.
and let us. I want to know what the outcome is.
Yeah. I guess
Well, the thing is, like, we need to make sure that we always have listeners. So if we can create problems in their marriage, they'll come back to hear how to solve those problems. So
okay.
go play Mom or Dad.
You're a clever man.
And then come listen to episode 102, where we talk about how to deal with the game Mom or Dad.
That's a great idea. All right, let's get on to episode 101. Basically, marriage finances 101. That's what we're going to talk about today.
Great
And
title, by the way.
It is a great title. Thank you. I created that title.
No, you said 101, we should name it a college course. Like, you were thinking about doing an episode called Marriage 101 or Parenting
Yeah.
101. And I
Okay.
said, how about Marital Finances 101?
What this is teamwork. We build off of each other's ideas, and we are a team.
And it's what makes this dream work.
Yeah, teamwork makes the dream work. All right,
Hashtag copyright.
so we're going to talk about Yours, Mine, and Ours. Good movie from the 60s, 70s, something like that. Lucille Ball was in that, right? Yours, Mine, and Ours?
I have no idea.
You were the one who had me watch that, I think. Well, anyway, okay. Yours, mine, and ours. And sometimes in marriage, we have bank accounts or money that we look at as yours, mine, and ours. Now, money can be a tough topic in marriage. When two people get married, they bring everything into the marriage, right? They bring all their baggage. They bring their perspective, their opinions, their beliefs, and yes, their money and debt. They bring that right into the marriage, right?
Yeah.
When we get married, it's yours, mine, and ours. That's kind of the situation. Yours, mine, and ours, at least at first. But we, Thomas and I, strongly believe that it shouldn't continue that way.
Right. I mean, you think about Genesis 2:24. It says, therefore a man shall leave his father and his mother and hold fast to his wife, and they shall become one flesh. And so you can kind of see you have yours and mine, but the goal is not to stay that way. The goal is to become ours, where it's about we, it's about us. We are becoming one. Mm-hmm. All about unity. And that should carry over in the financial realm as well. And it always blows my mind when you have people who are trying to become one in every aspect but finances.
Yeah, I don't fully understand
And they
it.
want to maintain this idea of yours and mine, and sometimes they even throw ours in there, and it just seems so complicated. Mm-hmm. But not just complicated, it's actively against this idea of building unity and oneness together. And that is the main reason that we chose to keep a joint bank account. It's about our belief in unity. And when you handle your money together, you are working together on your budget, your giving, your hopes, your dreams, your goals together.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so Thomas, let's talk about our growing up.
Okay.
Because
reminisce.
Like we talked about, you bring everything into your marriage, including like what you view as normal. And so the way that I saw my parents handle finances was normal to me. So my parents had, my dad was, actually, I guess they both worked probably an equal amount of hours outside the home, probably most of their lives. My dad always had, like, I think, to my knowledge, a better paying job. Like, he usually was the main breadwinner. But when my parents had their checks deposited, they went into one account. So my parents had one bank account. And from what I could see growing up, they looked at all the money as theirs together. They did not have any money that was separate. It wasn't like my mom took her paycheck and was like, I'm going to pay these bills. Dad took his paycheck. I'm going to pay these bills and whatever. There was none of that. It was just like everything went into the same funnel, and my mom paid the bills out of that bank account, and everything was together. So that is how I came into our marriage, and that is how I thought it should be. What about you, babe?
Well, and even now, like, we've been married 19 years, so I've been around your parents a lot. And even now, as they talk about finances or whatever else, it's always about being on the same team, same side.
Oh, yeah.
And he may want to do this, and she may say, well, let's think about this. And they sit and they talk about it, but it's all about unity for them.
Yeah, it's really funny, too, because my dad's the dreamer, just like you're the dreamer in our marriage. He's the dreamer, and my mom's like trying to like hold him down and bring him down to reality, which is what I do in our marriage.
Yeah.
And so, but it's really great to listen to them communicate. They will talk it out until they come to an agreement, and then nobody moves forward until the agreement is made financially for them.
Yeah.
So that's true.
Bank account wise for my parents growing up, I actually don't know how it was, but both my parents worked as long as I can remember. Both my parents still work. My dad always made more money. He worked
a substantial amount more.
Yeah, so he worked factory jobs, but he worked in good places that paid him pretty well for doing what he did as a blue-collar worker. And he worked very hard and taught me the importance of working hard. My mom was the secretary of a Christian school until that closed down, and she became the secretary of our church up there, which didn't pay very much at all.
Yeah, nobody's getting rich as a church secretary.
Yeah, especially early on, it was tough. But so my dad would get his paycheck, and most of the time he would cash it himself, like just cash it. And then he would give my mom money out of that to like pay the bills and whatever, and he would keep. I don't know what the percentages were. I just know he didn't give all the money to her. Like he kept money for himself. And there was always this. I don't know. It was like he had his thing, and then with everything else, you take care of the business. Is kind of how it seemed from my point of view. And there may be things that I don't know or understand about how they operated it, because it's not like we ever sat down and talked about it. But this is just me growing up in that environment and kind of observing how things were done.
I do remember your mom, sometime after we got together, but before marriage, I remember her going to him and telling him that he didn't give her enough money to pay the bills and she needed more. And he seemed irritated by that. I remember that.
Yeah, and I think that happened multiple times. Mm-hmm. But to me, that was one of those signs and instances where they didn't have total unity. Mm-hmm. Of course, that was representative of time spent and whatever too. Hobbies. Dad just kind of did what he wanted to do when he wanted to do it. And that showed up in the money aspect too. So, it wasn't that picture of unity, that Genesis talks about. And it's one of the things that we strive for as a married couple in all aspects, is to have unity. When two people get married, they are one. So 19 years ago, Lysandra and I got married, and I often think about that day, whether looking at pictures or whatever. I remember standing at the front of the church and just having my eyes like glued on the back of the auditorium, waiting for you to round the corner. And I can still remember seeing you for the first time as you walked around the corner in your wedding dress, and the joy. And even now when I officiate weddings, I never look for the bride. The music hits, the bridal march hits. I always look at the groom and I see the smile and the gleam on his face. And it's an incredible thing, and it brings me back. But we've been at this for 19 years now, and for 19 years, actually, before we got married, we financially we're working together. But we've been working on this oneness thing, and oneness should be reflected in finances too. If all your money is together, you are one in every way. In order to manage a joint account successfully, the couple must be honest, respectful, diligent. You have to have that trust factor there. Of course, if you don't trust somebody, you shouldn't be married to them in the first place. Or you got a lot of issues that you need to work through. A joint account just makes sense in marriage. Because if you can trust your spouse with your spirit, emotions, your body, and other things, why not with your money too?
Having joint bank accounts will force communication. It really does.
Even if one of the members don't want to communicate about it.
That's true.
I don't necessarily care to know about all the financial side of things if I don't have to. And there's times where Lysandra comes to me and is like, hey, we just need to talk for a second here.
When I come out with the ledger, he's like, oh, man.
Oh, crap. Here we go.
Yep. And I'm like, sit down, babe. We got to talk.
So whether something unexpected came up or whatever, but it forces that communication. And that is such a positive thing.
Yeah, because you have to talk about all money spent because you're both drawing from the same pool. You know, otherwise the pool's going to empty out and there's going to be nothing there. But it also enables you as a couple to plan and work towards achieving your goals together. And like Thomas talked about unity, we're seeing a team mentality, which is something we talk about on the family meeting all the time. We are a team and it should be that way. So being united in financial matters also helps to increase the intimacy between a couple. And as Dave Ramsey says, if they can talk about their money, they can practically talk about anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's true. It is hard to talk about money sometimes.
Yeah, especially when it feels like there's not enough.
Well, I think no matter how much money you have, it feels like there's not enough unless you view it properly.
Yeah. Yeah, that can be true, I guess. But it doesn't just promote communication. It can also prevent both spouses from infidelity. Because once again, remember, we're trying to work towards unity in every aspect. And if we are maintaining individuality in one area of our life, that encourages individuality in other areas of our lives as well. And I forget where the verse is listed, but this kind of verse pops into my mind. You say, well, what in the world do finances have to do with infidelity? The Bible talks about, and I wish I could remember who the penman was, but it says, make no provision for the flesh to fulfill the lusts thereof. If I had to guess, I'd say Paul, because he wrote most of the New Testament. So we want to put up safeguards to promote unity and fight, that individualistic mentality. Practically speaking, it is a lot more difficult to cheat on your spouse if they can see everywhere the money is going.
Right.
It reminds me of some friends of ours. He traveled a lot for work. I think he travels some now, but not as much. And he was out, I want to say, in Los Angeles area.
Yeah, I was going to say California. Mm-hmm.
And so he was working for the company, and his wife notices an expenditure that says roses on it, right? Mm-hmm. Is it roses?
Yeah, it was. I think it was like white rose or roses, or yeah, it was something like that.
Something along those lines, and it's for hundreds of dollars. And she's like, like this is suspicious. Like, I trust my husband, but you're out here away
and buying roses,
hundreds of dollars worth. And so they had a conversation about it. Well, the name of the place where he was staying was the Roses or whatever. Mm-hmm. And so, but that's one of those things where she totally trusted him. It was just weird. So let's have a conversation about it. Mm-hmm. obviously it's not foolproof. Like somebody who wants to cheat on their spouse, they're going to find a way to cheat on their spouse. Mm-hmm. But it is one of those safeguards to make it more difficult. And we should be setting up all kind of safeguards in our lives. And a joint bank account is a great safeguard. Money transparency, and a place where all the money goes into and all the money comes out of. This makes it difficult for either spouse to sneak around in any way, whether it's infidelity or whatever else. Mm-hmm. And sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, we ought to be promoting transparency. Mm-hmm. This is marriage where we're supposed to share everything with each other. So that joint bank account does a lot.
That's right. And this brings us to our next point, forced honesty. If both spouses have access to see all accounts, they're unable to lie about where they are, what money they spent, what they're doing. It brings truth. And as we all know, the truth shall set you free, right? So we want truth. We want honesty. And like Thomas said, transparency in our marriage. And the truth of the joint bank account prevents unnecessary spending as well, to a certain degree.
Oh, yeah. Well, and you think about honesty. So Lysandra will often go through and review the bank account purchases, review credit card statements, and just kind of walk through it. And ask, hey, did you spend this much in this place? Mm-hmm. And of course, sometimes what's listed is kind of weird. Like it's just this website or whatever else.
Yeah, because there's a lot of church expenditures on there.
So it's like, oh yeah, that's legit. That's for this purchase and for this. But it keeps that communication open. It keeps that honesty open.
Right. And while a joint bank account isn't going to totally take care of unnecessary spending, at least unnecessary spending becomes limited because two people now have a say where the money is going. Two people are completely aware of what's coming in and going out of that account. And so hopefully this brings some balance. Hopefully you're not both spenders.
Yeah.
Or hopefully you're not both savers. That's difficult. I feel sorry for marriages where both spouses are either savers or both spouses are spenders. It's very convenient in our marriage that you're more of a spender and I'm more of a saver.
Although that's changed a little bit over the years.
It definitely has, but I would say perspective-wise,
yes.
It's still the same.
Yeah. But when both parties can see and access the accounts, it promotes unity. It promotes transparency and accountability. Unity because each spouse is working for the common financial goal and viewing all money coming in as the team's money. Mm-hmm. Like we're working together.
Yeah.
And it also makes things a lot less complicated. Like we talk to some people, whether it's counseling or whatever, and some of the financial like gymnastics people do is like
well said.
It makes me exhausted.
Yeah.
Like we have this account for this month to do this, and this account for this, and that, and the other, and it's
we pay this out of this account, this out of this account.
How do you keep track of all this? Like
Whoa.
You're handling your business or your home finances like you are a multi-million-dollar corporation.
Yeah, we have one savings account, one checking account, one credit card. The end. It's pretty simple over here.
Yeah.
And I understand there are some people who have different businesses and they're a multifaceted type home. I guess.
But a lot
That's
of the people
different.
we talk to aren't. That's not the case. It's literally their personal finances, and yet he's got this bank account, she's got that bank account. They both have multiple bank accounts together even, and it's like, what in the world is
I will
happening
never
over here?
forget when I found out that some people have multiple joint bank accounts in addition to individual bank accounts. It would be very difficult to keep track of all that and much more complicated than it needs to be.
Yeah, I don't get it.
Yeah.
I just don't get it. But it promotes transparency because both spouses can see everything at any time, especially with the rise of technology and the apps. Like, how easy is it to be able to pull up the app?
Love it.
And just do your banking from there and be able to see what's going on and keep track of it. It's nice. It's very helpful. But everything's out in the open. And accountability promotes accountability because each spouse no longer has the opportunity to spend any way they choose without affecting the other and the other person kind of knowing what's going on. And I think about, going back to what I observed growing up, there's no accountability for how they spend the money. And so what a joint account does is now everything you spend is seen by and impacts your spouse. Mm-hmm. So if I make a stupid purchase and empty the bank account, and then we have an automatic withdrawal for our house payment, but there's not enough in there. That's not just affecting me. That's affecting us.
Mm-hmm, right. And we believe having one bank account can actually help your marriage last the test of time. Here's why. Many times the reason people want to keep their money separate when entering marriage is that so if or when the relationship dies, it's easier to split up. It's like they are planning for this marriage to fail.
Yeah, you're going into it with the knowledge that it's probably going to not last.
Yeah, and if you get divorced financially, it's much easier to split if you have separate bank accounts. Emotionally, it might be easier, and physically, it's easier because everything's been separate all along. The bad thing about going into your marriage is you're basically going in with a divorce plan. Like you've got a plan for divorce. It's almost preparing for divorce. And the number one cause of divorce in the United States is money. And that doesn't surprise me at all because money is such an impossible topic to agree 100% upon 100% of the time. Like Thomas and I are pretty unified in every aspect of our marriage.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure we don't agree on 100% of money stuff ever.
No.
Like we disagree a little bit all the time. And we work on that and come to an agreement. We're always compromising and talking it out to come to an acceptable agreement. And it makes me think of going into a courtroom and presenting arguments of why it is that we should do this with our money. Every time we're talking it out. And I'm not even talking about like big investments or what car do we drive. I'm talking about whether or not to go out to dinner for the second time in a week or not. These are the kinds of discussions we have financially.
Yeah.
We're discussing it all. We don't always agree on that. One of us may think that, let's go ahead and spend a little bit more out of the fun money budget and let's go out to eat. So neither of us have to cook, clean, grocery shop, whatever. And the other one's like, oh, I don't really want to spend the money that way, and then the kids get involved and everybody wants to go out to eat. But we have to discuss even that. We don't agree on everything, not big things or little things. So we have to talk that out. And if a couple learns to jointly manage this very important factor in their relationship, their money, the chances of staying together become much greater. I mean, your marriage succeeding seems like a great motivation to put the finances together, right?
Yeah, because if you can, it's like Dave Ramsey, that quote you talked about. If you can talk about money, you can talk about anything. So if we can talk this through and we can work through financially what we ought to be doing together, we should be able to work through anything and talk about anything. But when we come in, like you said, basically with this like divorce plan, like, oh, well, I did, I got my own account so I can just hop out anytime I want. Mm-hmm. It makes that marriage a whole lot harder.
It's like setting up for failure, planning your fail.
Yeah. But having all the money as one, it enhances negotiation. No, I don't know necessarily I would use the courtroom. That seems kind of a negative aspect. Like, hey, I'm a lawyer, coming at it, two lawyers doing bad. Like,
oh, that's how I look at it. So how do you look at it?
Oh, so you're doing warfare with me. Okay.
Yeah, I'm the opposing. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding, but I'm not. No, I am.
I'm the defense.
yeah, for real.
But you're having these negotiations between the couple, which goes right along with communication and viewing everything as one. If everything is ours, not yours or mine, then we're going to have to negotiate what we do with our resources. You are both equally on board of your finances. You have to talk about how to spend, and this creates discussion and teamwork. And like Lysandra said, we have to talk about how many times a month to go out to eat, how much to spend on clothes and in kids' sports, and the list goes on and on and on, especially with 4 daughters. As we disagree, we negotiate. Okay, why do you think we should do that? Or why don't you think we should?
Yep, I pull him onto the witness stand and put the light in his face. And
what are the issues? And
yeah.
What did you spend this on? I don't recall.
Right.
Plead the fifth? No, but it makes us talk about it.
Right. Mm-hmm.
We compromise. We get talking. And this joint account enables the couple to discuss and consider the needs of each other. Unlike in a personal account where there is no discussion and care. Everyone acts as a boss of their own. No team is considered because there is no team. And I would be very interested to hear from those who, I understand there's going to be people that disagree with us. And that's okay.
Yeah, right.
But maybe there's something I'm just not getting. Maybe there's something I don't understand. So if you strongly believe in having separate accounts, I'd love to hear your side of the story. I would love to hear how it makes your marriage stronger, how it promotes communication and oneness and a team mentality. If there's something that I'm missing, reach out. Like, send me an email or shoot me a voice message. I would love to be able to hear that and to learn for myself, because maybe there's something I'm not getting.
And couples who feel comfortable with sharing a joint bank account often trust one another, or at least it builds trust. If you know that your spouse has trust in your ability to manage funds and spend within the agreed upon budget, then that would really make you think twice before doing anything that would break that trust. I take it as a huge compliment when Thomas doesn't ask to know anything about the money in our home. He completely trusts me with our money. Like, I don't think you've ever once in 19 years questioned me.
No.
About our money. I mean, it's also open and we talk about it and I show him and whatever. But you have never been like, how much did you spend on that ever?
Yeah, it does help that you're a saver. Like, I understand people have some other issues that we don't necessarily have, but there's times where I look at the bank statements and all that kind of stuff. But
but that trust means a lot to me. Like, it means a lot that you trust me, and I don't want to break that trust. I'm not going to. At least I'm going to try hard not to break that trust by doing something foolish with the money. And trust is really hard to earn back, as most of us are aware of, right? So therefore, we want to keep the trust that our spouse has in us and our joint efforts to stay on budget. So we want to spend appropriately for the team. And also, my personal favorite, it's easier to have the money together. Easy. It's just easier. Like Thomas was talking about with all of the financial gymnastics. That was a great way to put it. It's just like, why are you making this so complicated and hard on yourself? It's so simple to have just one savings, one credit, one retirement, one checking account. And it's just efficient, easy, and I like it. Hearing the way that other people are doing it really sounds exhausting sometimes.
Well, and I think about what Jesus said. Jesus made a statement that is so powerful and can teach us a lot about finances. He said, wherever your treasure is, that's where your heart is. And so just think about, as far as your own personal relationship in financial aspect. Wherever your treasure is, that's where your heart is. That shows really where your heart is. So if my heart is really in this thing, my treasure is going to be there and it's going to show it. So if my heart's not really in it, if my treasure is not invested in us, but I kind of keep my own safety net back here, that really shows where my heart is. My heart is not at 100% in this thing. My heart, whether I know it or not, is thinking this could all fall apart. And so that means we also can use our treasure, we can use our finances to guide our heart to where we want it to go. So if you have separate accounts, for whatever reason, and sometimes people have separate accounts just because laziness and they've never taken the time to actually combine the finances.
Right.
So obviously you have couples who get together after being single for a long time, and it's just like, man, it seems like a lot of work to do all that. Hey, maybe now's the time to follow through and do that. So here's just a couple of things to consider before setting up a joint account. Before you set up a joint account, you should discuss and agree on how the finances should be managed. So how are you going to manage this account? How are you going to manage the finances? How are you going to operate financially in your household?
And maybe they've already set up a joint account.
Yeah. Maybe you're past that point. Discuss it now.
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, we haven't really had a plan moving forward. We haven't had a plan up till now. It's time to have a plan moving forward, and agree on a budget and where the money should go. Then stick to the budget together. It's all about being on the same team. We have the same goals. We're going in the same direction, and that budget is there to help you with that. So in this budget discussion, talk about how much you plan to give. You know, we're Christians, and Jesus has a lot to say about giving, seeking the kingdom of God first, and being faithful in our tithes and our offerings and just giving in general and being generous. How much are you going to give? That should be a part of your budget talk. Talk about how much you want to save, whether that's for children's education, vacation, retirement, another car, you buying a house, whatever it is. Set a savings goal and work on it. It's also really important that you know going into marriage how much debt both spouses have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So we talk about transparency.
We've had couples who sat on our couch and we were doing counseling, and they were like, they never told me how much debt they had until after we were married, and I feel tricked. I feel duped. I didn't know that that's what I was signing up for.
Yeah, and what's always surprises me is how that's never come up before in a conversation. But there should be no financial surprises after marriage. If that's not something you talked about before you got married, it's time to talk about it now. Discuss the rights of survivorship. Okay? And this is something that a surprising number of couples don't talk about. Mm-hmm. In most joint accounts, when an account holder dies, the survivor has the rights to the money. Now, your state and whatever might have different rules or whatever that you need to check into. Also, if the deceased had some debts, then the survivor is assigned to pay the debt. But you need to talk about those things as far as, hey, what about the rights of survivorship? What are we going to do here?
Yeah, and none of us want to even think about becoming a widow or a widower. But eventually, if we stay married long enough, that will happen to one of you.
Yeah.
I mean, that's our plan. Till death do us part, right?
And I'm the one who's going to die.
I'm going to beat you to Jesus. I'm going to win that race.
People can look at the two of us and really know.
Because of how much older you look than me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Those of you on YouTube, God bless you for having a look at this.
Okay. Joint finances, though, will save you trouble if your spouse dies before you. Okay, so Jennifer Black is a co-author of a book called Managing Alone. And this is not something that I think of very often, but I thought this was a really good point. So she says, our recommendation is to have a joint account and to run things through the joint account. Here's what can happen when your spouse dies and you have separate accounts. You try to access money in the spouse's account to pay for household expenses, but you find you're frozen out. The banks are pretty strict. Mrs. Black says, I've seen situations where people cannot access the money at all. Usually the bank is waiting to see a probated will. So you can be in a point where you have no money to pay your mortgage, your utilities, get food, whatever.
Yeah, and you're trying to scramble
Yes.
figure out what to do just because you didn't think ahead, you didn't plan.
Right. And the process of satisfying the bank's need for proper documentation can take a couple of months. In the meantime, you have to figure out a way to pay bills. And so a bank account eliminates this problem because both spouses have equal access. So that is a very practical reason to have joint accounts.
And we talk about this whenever we talk about a spouse dying or something like that. Like in that moment, that's not a time to be making decisions. You want to be able to focus on grieving and the things that you have to do to get through those difficult moments. You don't want to make it more difficult by setting up these barriers and these roadblocks and create extra problems in a time where you don't need to be worrying about money at that point. You don't need to be thinking about how do I get into this bank account right then. You just need to take care of yourself and you need to mourn. And so there's a lot of reasons for having a joint account. There's a lot of for coming on board and being unified in your finances, not just philosophically, but practically as well. And when you're thinking about the reasons to put all the money together in joint accounts, we started putting our money together even before we got married. And I never really thought about how beneficial it could be if one of us dies.
No.
But it's a great reason to keep your money together in your marriage relationship. Like speaking from experience, one of the reasons Lysandra and I have been so unified and close all these years of marriage is because every cent coming into the house has been viewed as ours equally. And every cent we spend is agreed upon between the two of us because it's our money. Yep. Now, most of the years I've been the one working outside of the home while Lysandra was working hard raising our small children. Even when you didn't necessarily have a full-time job, like you always had side gigs that you were doing or like very early morning part-time jobs or whatever.
Right.
But I never looked at the money I earned as more important than yours.
I agree.
Like we're a team. So even if I know we have maybe some stay-at-home moms and maybe some stay-at-home dads even out there, the way that I've kind of always looked at it is because you were home with the kids, that enabled me to be able to go out and do what I do and earn the income that I earn. So even in that, it wasn't, hey, I'm doing all this work and so it's my money. No, you're taking care of the house and taking care of our children, and that frees me up to be able to then go out and do what I do. But so without you, I couldn't do what I do. Without you, I wouldn't have what I have. So it's always been about us working together to bring in the income that we need in order to do what we do and live how we want to live.
Yeah, and now there are weeks that I make significantly more than Thomas does. And if he stays in line, I give him a few bucks and I say, go buy yourself something pretty.
Yeah.
But that's only if he stays in line. So
yeah,
behave.
It's because depending upon what paint jobs you have that week and what offering may come in for me or not come in for me, it can scale heavily in Lysandra's favor.
Yeah, and so now all that money that I make, I view as mine. And if he earns it, he can have some. But we'll see. Depends on if I'm feeling generous, basically.
You might need to go back and listen to the rest of this episode.
No, I'm just kidding. It's all ours. And the truth is that all money in this family is truly ours. We have one credit card, one savings account, one retirement account, one checking account, and both of our names are on every account. He has access to every account, whether or not he chooses to look at them. But the money is ours in every sense of the word.
Well, and what's interesting to me, and I know in some homes this has been an issue, but because of the mentality we've had from the very start that it's ours, like as we've made this transition in life and come to this, this church plant, where it's not as financially stable, and some weeks we're like, okay, how are we gonna what are we going to do with this paycheck that comes in for me? I've never felt insecure. I've never felt like belittled.
Or
I've
like
never felt any less.
like losing your masculinity or anything.
Yeah, because I'm not bringing in as much money, or I'm not the main breadwinner anymore. I have the same mentality. Like, it's ours. It's all ours. But that's because we have been working for over 19 years on the unity financially between us, that we are on the same page, we're on the same team. And maybe you haven't had that mentality and you've been married for a while, or maybe you're getting ready to get married and this mentality you need to talk about and work towards. And so that's what we want you to do, is just have a discussion about it. So with your family meeting tonight, it's time to talk honestly about your finances. And I know for some of you, this is such a sensitive topic. So as with any sensitive topic, we encourage you, pick the right place, the right time, and use the right tone to have these discussions. But discuss whether or not you're viewing your finances as yours and mine or ours. And if you don't both agree, talk it through until you can help your spouse to understand. Maybe discuss some of the changes you need to make in your family so that money is equally both spouses. And maybe you're the one who needs to change your perspective. And we've touched on a couple different areas as far as budgeting and a lot of different stuff like that. And maybe the financial issue you have we didn't touch on, but it's time to have the discussion about it. Because finances are about unity. They should be.
Right. Thank you guys for joining us today. Please go and subscribe to the Family Meeting podcast from your favorite podcast provider. And if you found this information to be helpful, please share this episode on social media and invite your friends and family to listen in with you.
To find more content and information Lysandra and I provide, you can go to our website, familymeeting.org, or send us an email at info@familymeeting.org. If you'd like to shoot us a text or call, you can send us a voice message at 904-257-3062.
And we would like to invite you to join us for our next family meeting as we look into the temptation to try to force our children into the mold we have prepared for them. So we're going to talk about allowing our children to be who they are. This applies to younger children and to your adult children. So I think this episode can be helpful to parents no matter what their season of life.
Most definitely. Be an interesting discussion next time. And cause for some introspective. Like, am I forcing some things onto my kids that maybe doesn't fit them? Thanks for joining us today for this family meeting. Have a great week, everybody. This meeting is adjourned. Boom. You got through it, babe.
I know, I need a nap.
Yeah, I was going to say, you started a yawn in there pretty big.
I know, I'm really tired, but I have to go work now.
You're like, I'm talking about finances.
Actually, I find finances an interesting topic.
Tell the rest of you that.
I know, right? Yeah, well, that was a good episode. We made it through. Episode 101 is in the books, and next week, join us on YouTube as we record episode 102. And maybe you could share this with someone. Let somebody else know that we're here and we do this, what we do.
Was spending
Such as it is.
This week setting up some speaking engagements. And you've got one coming up in just a couple weeks.
I do. I'm so excited about it. I'm totally ready. I wish it was now.
You want to tell our YouTubers about what do you got coming up?
Yeah. So I'm going to be speaking at a ladies' retreat for a church in Tampa area.
Sisterhood retreat, right?
Sisterhood retreat. And it's going to be at a hotel in a conference center. And I get to speak 3 sessions, which I just love. And
What's the 3 sessions? Maybe for some of our viewers who are actually going to be at the Sisterhood retreat. What are you going to be talking about?
Yeah, good idea. So we are going to be talking about breaking down barriers to unity between women, because oftentimes it's hard to have a close relationship and friendship with a woman. Especially sometimes even in our churches.
It is hard to be friends with a woman.
Yeah, it is.
I've been trying for a while now.
Who have you been trying to be friends with?
You.
Oh, good. Like, I'm trying to be friends with women and everybody's rejecting me. Okay, so first session is going to be about resolving conflict. So what do you do when you have a situation, an issue with another lady? And then...
do women ever fight?
All the time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we fight, but we do it with a smile and...
Backhanded remarks and passive aggressive.
Oh, yeah. We're so good at that. And then next topic is going to be on forgiveness and how to forgive the past hurts.
Okay.
Thirdly, we're going to talk about personal strongholds. So it may be that you are a jealous person. You have fear of, getting hurt like you did in the past, or fear of being vulnerable. It may be that you are competitive and that's what's happening. And that's why you can't get close with another woman or have a good friendship. So you're going to talk about all that.
Awesome. Sounds great. Mm-hmm. But we do take some bookings. So if you want us to speak at your church, your conference, your event, feel free to reach out to us, info@familymeeting.org. And we'd love to be able to help you however we can.
Yeah. Other than that, have a great week, everybody.
We'll see you next time.